And so I get out. I've got a child at home. Now I've been arrested again. This is 2016. My conscience and everything's told me I really shouldn't be selling weed. And instead, I'm gonna provide for myself some other way. I tried getting a job, and it just, I wasn't in it. I didn't have the desire to work at a regular job, at a deli, at Jason's Deli or whatever. And I worked there for like a month or two part-time, and then I quit. And then I was just relying on this new girlfriend that I had gotten arrested with, and and just relying on her and her family, to pay, we moved into an apartment, and pay for the weed and pay for the food and pay for my housing. And I was just living this way, and just not really working, and just spending a lot of time with, having my son, but not really spending like good time with him, and just kind of being like more like a big brother really than a parent. And I'm sorry, Paxton, for all the time that I have wasted. And that went on for about 3 years, and then I started getting into yoga, shortly after I got arrested that time, and had kind of been getting into it. But then I felt this, I was trying to escape my reality, once again, and was wanting to travel, and I went with a friend, my yoga teacher from home, and we went to this yoga festival. It was a 2-week festival, and it was in New Mexico, Española, New Mexico, and it was like a retreat. It was like a 2-week thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go to this yoga festival. Cool. I just want to travel out. I want to go out west and just gonna check it out. It's gonna be good for me. It's gonna raise my vibration. I'm gonna be more spiritual, more, like it's part of my spiritual growth. So I'm just gonna do it. And then I go out there, and they deliver this message, which is almost just so deceiving. And they're like, if you're here, you're not here by accident. You're being, it's divine circumstances. If you've ever considered teaching yoga, we need to send this yoga all over the world to awaken everyone. And this is how, this is the evolution of people, and if you really love people, you want to awaken them to their own divinity, because there's so many people stuck in the matrix of not knowing that, that are stuck in their religion and everything like that is the way, I'm seeing it. And so I come back from this 2-week yoga thing, and of course while I'm there, I don't fail to, sleep with a random person that I just met, and cheat on my partner at home, who I'm living with, who's providing everything for me. And so I have this calling on I come back, but I have this calling on my life now to be a yoga teacher. And I decided to go a couple months, so I was gone for 2 weeks, so I decided to come back, and I'm home for a month or so, and then I go, and I'm going to this 6-week 200-hour yoga certification thing. This is going to be my new direction. It's like, oh, this is it. I didn't want to work a regular job, and I wanted to live this spirituality, this spiritual life. As being a yoga teacher, this is it. And I went and, was like, top of my class was, I felt like spiritually superior to all these people in my class, and, and then we're meditating, and it's Kundalini yoga is taught by Yogi Bhajan. So I go back to New Mexico, and, I'm just like totally indoctrinated with this this system, this lifestyle. I'm living on this ashram, eating their food, and waking up at 5 a.m. chanting for an hour, and doing yoga, and this just becomes my life, and I am told this is what I have to do every day to maintain my spirituality, and and to ascend ultimately, and ascend this this current level of reality. And so I take it seriously, and I come home, and I'm doing my spiritual disciplines every day, taking cold showers, and eating vegan, vegetarian, and then my partner, my girlfriend that I was living with, she goes and she becomes certified, in the teaching, and she takes a 200-hour, class that's closer to home. She goes up to Chicago and does it. We're here in Illinois, and I just continue to go deeper and deeper into this, and to the point where I have, the most expensive, and like the only thing I own are these instruments, these gongs, and I have a couple $1,000s worth of gongs, and then I'm teaching yoga and doing gong meditation sessions, and gong relaxation sessions and things like that, and this is just my life, and not really making any money, just kind of doing whatever I wanted still. And then we found out the girl I was living with, we found out she became pregnant. We weren't getting along this whole time, and then it was one New Year's Eve we spent together, just her and then my son, and then we were just like, we got to break up. We were just like fighting all the time. I just hurt her a lot, and I was just always blaming her for stuff, and we broke up, and we broke up on a New Year's Eve, like on that day of New Year's Eve. And then a big part of our life also was still going to shows, and and just everything like that. I had integrated that with the yoga and everything, that lifestyle. And it was all part of it, because you're taking psychedelic drugs, and it's just all such a lie. And then she went out on that same day. We'd been together for 3 years, and like I had hurt her a lot, like I said, but she goes and she sleeps with someone else, and ends up staying with this other guy for like a week or 2 weeks basically. And like I'm not talking to her, and then I find out about it, and then it's like the middle of January or something. Well, we have this trip planned to go to Cancun. We've been saving for like $600-700 a month. I was working like part-time or something, also at this organic juice bar, because this was just my whole life. And and we have these non-transferable tickets, you know, to go see the Grateful Dead and Company, you know, in Mexico, like over this weekend. And we've broken up. She's been with this other guy, but we still have the tickets, and we end up going together, and we, you know, leave on like Valentine's Day, and we spend Valentine's Day up in Chicago. And you know, you can imagine, like, we end up getting back together just because I'm, like, you know, dependent on her, or like it felt, you know, it was easier for me to just be dependent on her, you know, and her family and stuff like that. And it was just comfortable for me. And we end up getting back together, and I ended up getting so high one night between cocaine and Molly, and just the free drinks at the resort and everything like that, I end up urinating in our new friend's hotel room. And they're sweet. Like, they find me, you know, it's like, you know, 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm you know, peeing in their closet. And, you know, just like, once again, wake up feeling super embarrassed and like ashamed. And it's like not anything that we ever have to feel. You know, we don't have to feel that way, and I know so many people do. And it's just this cycle is kind of what I'm trying to get across, you know. And it's this cycle that you can break free of. And so this is the point where I'm a yoga teacher and everything like this, you know, and here I am still literally, you know, like I said, peeing in this person's closet, like totally, and I didn't know it until I woke up the next day. And she's like, do you know what you did last night? And it's like not something you ever want to hear, and it's not something I'm proud of at all. I just say that like to demonstrate, you know, this point. Shortly after that, you know, find out that she's pregnant, but she was, you know, sleeping with this other guy all the way up until when we left. And so I don't even know if this baby's mine. So we go through the whole pregnancy, and then even after that, and I just have this doubt in my mind that it's even my child. And it's just a terrible foundation for a relationship, you know. And it was just like, I was ashamed, you know, like, of her, but I'm, you know, with this person and trying to like love them, trying to love myself, and it was just such a mess, you know. And now, you know, we're trying to raise this child, and then it came to the point where the child was, you know, about 2 months old, and then I hear this governor of Virginia talking about full-term abortions. And I was like, what? Like, I was always pro-choice and everything, and then this, you know, they start talking about full-term abortions, and I'm like, wait, and I'm looking down to this baby in my arms, and they're even talking about post-birth, like, euthanasia and stuff like that, if the people decide they're not ready for a baby. And I'm pro-choice, you know, pro whatever, women's rights, and, you know, everything like that at this point. And it just pierced my heart, that callus on my heart, you know, looking down at this little newborn baby, the 1 or 2 months old, and, you know, realizing that some of these children that were being born and euthanized and everything like that were, or potentially, were just as big as this baby I was holding in my arms. And so that's one of the first things that really shifted my way of thinking. And this whole time in the spirituality, there's this emphasis on Christ. But, Christ was just someone that realized his own divinity. And we can all do that too. Of course, I've never read the Bible and saw what Jesus says about himself. But, like I said, scriptures will be taken to support, their ideas, whatever those are. And there's emphasis on Christ, even in the yoga culture and in spirituality. And, there's just this thing about Jesus Christ, about Jesus, that everybody they have to explain it away or account for it. Like, there's just something about Jesus. Have you noticed? There's something about Jesus and his precious name. His name is so sweet. And I'm reading this book about the yoga of Jesus, because I taught and believed that Jesus went to the Far East and learned, Buddhist and Hindu practices, and that's how he gained his supernatural abilities, from when he was a teenager until he was 30, and then he came back and he started doing these miracles, because all these miracles, like if you read Autobiography of a Yogi and stuff like that, you hear, similar accounts where people have these supernatural powers from doing yoga. So I'm reading this book, Yoga of Jesus, and starting to just kind of, I've always been into seeking the truth, whatever, 9/11, vaccines. Like, that was one of the big things that wrote me into the spirituality. They're like, oh, you didn't know that you're eating pesticides, and wow, that actually has an ill effect on the body, like your government's poisoning you? And they take that grain of truth, which is true. There are people that want to depopulate the planet and kill you. And they take that grain of truth and they give it to you, and they say, oh, and by the way, and they wrap it in this spirituality or whatever, so you accept the grain of truth, and then you're like, oh, well, this person told me that, and so whatever else they're telling me must be true about spirituality and my own divinity and crystal power and meditation and everything. And that's how it's sold to you. It's a bill of goods. And praise God, I found this testimony, and I had found it before, like a year ago, and it spoke to me of this former yoga teacher, Kundalini yoga teacher, that had become a Christian and denounced all of the ways of yoga, and he had the same teacher as me and everything, and but he actually studied under the actual teacher, and I was kind of under his apprentices and stuff like that. And I just listened to his testimony again. It's like this 8-part testimony on YouTube. It's former Kundalini yoga teacher. His name's Mike Shreve. And I was like, wow. And it, it was just kind of moving me and inching me, like nudging me closer to the truth. And then I saw this other testimony by this man named Stephen Bankars, who was a writer for Spirit Science, which initially got me into this whole movement and thing. And he wrote articles for them, and he was highly successful doing that. And I heard his testimony, and in his work, his apologetic work, that demonstrates and clearly shows you how the whole New Age movement is satanic. How you find these practices of meditation, crystal healing, astral projection, everything, every single thing in the satanic Bible, in the doctrines of these people that worship Satan, literally, and commit blood sacrifices to Satan, and use these unborn children, and these that and they're eating these babies, these organs, and doing sacrifices with them. And it was like I was connecting all these dots, and I was just like, wow, like Satan there's people that actually sacrifice and worship this Satan, like whatever that is. I didn't think Satan was real. Everything was love and light in the New Age way of viewing the world, and in the world view. Everything's love and light, literally, is what you're told. There's the yin and yang, but it's all just love. And they take that truth that God is love, and it's and Satan distorts the truth. He doesn't create his own truth. He's not a creator, but he distorts the truth and twists it. And I just connect all these dots, and I just think to myself, wow, I'd been pushed over the edge, and I said, wow, Jesus is real. Jesus is he's the truth. It's just Jesus, just the Jesus of the Bible. It's not so complicated. It's so simple. And it was just a realization, a revelation, that had been given to me, an understanding, and I was just looked at my partner, that we have this little baby girl with, and I'm just thinking, I just tell her, I don't want to smoke weed anymore. Like, we've been trying to quit smoking weed. We tried dozens of times. And I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't need to do it anymore. And the next day she went to work and she never came home. Like, I came to just confessing Christ one day and this whole brand new, way of looking at life, and then the next day, my daughter and the person I've been with for 3 years, traveling and spending a lot of time with, is gone. And so it was kind of hard, but I went to church for the first time that Sunday. And praise God, it was first time I've been to church in years, and over 10, 12 years I hadn't been inside of a church. And they were doing baptisms that day. And I had no idea, and I was sitting in the back, and I was like, wow. I was just feeling all this emotion, and I just knew what I was looking for. I knew I'd found what I was looking for. Just this overwhelming, just like presence, and just comfort. And I was just led basically to go and ask to be baptized, and it was my first time at this church, and first time in a long time at this church, and I was baptized. And the day before that, I got my first haircut in like 5 years. My hair was down here, and I got it cut for the first time in like 5 years. And I got baptized in water in the name of Jesus, and it was a spiritual experience. And I believe, that was a time I confessed my sin and realized I needed Jesus Christ. And then I was baptized and I was born again that day. And that was about a year ago today. And since then I haven't smoked any marijuana. I've been sober for this last year, and for the first time in 10 years. And it's just a whole new way of life. It's actual life. Like I realize now I wasn't even living before. I was dead. I was spiritually dead. I was just hurting the people I loved and that cared about me. I was just hurting everyone and myself and my children and my parents, and just I'd become a monster. But I just believed in Jesus. And no one had to tell me, now that you're a Christian, you've got to read the Bible and believe the Bible. I was just like, wow. And I'd always wanted to read the Bible, but something had always kept me from it. And I started to read it, and just gain insight, and just started to grow and started to study it, and it's been the best year of my life. And I've been by myself a lot physically, but growing to know Jesus. And I've had it's been quite the year, but I'm a new creature. I don't want to do the things I used to do. And sometimes when I do have those desires, to lust and to lust after women and stuff like that, I know what that is going to do. I know the fruit of it now. I see things clearly in a new light. And I have freedom from sin, from lying, and from pornography, and from drugs, and from lust. I have freedom. Glory to God. All thanks to Jesus Christ. And I might do another video soon with an update, like my first year following Christ and what that's been like. But I just wanted to share this testimony of the truth of God. And there's a lot of hypocrisy in religion, and a lot of deadness in religion, that turns people away from Christianity. But that's where the truth is. Jesus Christ is the truth. He's the only truth in this world. And that's it. He's the only truth in this world. And I'm trying to think of any closing thoughts, but I just thank God that he sought me, and he never just let me go. He just came and he found me where I was, and he saved me. He saved me from all my self-destructive habits and my addictions, and he's totally turned my life around. And now I just have this just this burning desire for other people to know the truth and the freedom and the life and the love that is Jesus Christ. And my heart goes out to all these people, Lord, that I've met over the years. And I care about them. I care about them all, and I just want to talk to them, and I just want to tell you all that Jesus Christ is the truth, that He is the life, that He is God alone. There are no others besides Him. He's not a God. He's not an ascended master. He is God alone. And He alone can make you free. I love you. God bless you.